The next thing that we are going to be looking at is called as security groups. All right. So we saw about roles, and next thing what we're going to be seeing is called as security groups. So we'll see this a common example of security group actually, and then we'll proceed on to this. For this, what I do is I go to view security groups in the search, and then I typed manager security group, since this is a common role that we have seen. So I'm just going to the manager security group. Ignore these warnings right now because this is a training tenant and they haven't actually fix this up. So there are some critical issues which are coming. Ignore these warnings and errors that are coming up. Real world, you may not see this. And number one, you see over here, this particular role is called as view role-based security group constrained. And this security group is based on a role that we have already created over here. And this role-based security group which I have created over here means that I need to have a one-on-one mapping with the maintain assignable roles that I have over here. I repeat, when I say that I'm creating a role-based security group, I need to ensure that this particular security group needs to have a one-on-one mapping with this particular maintain assignable roles over here. 2 points to note: the security group I create, the name need not be the same as what I give over here. Here I'm saying the role could be manager, but here it need not be manager. I can say manager underscore super, manager underscore RN, and manager underscore 123, whatever I want, I can create it. Not a rule at all. That is number one. And the mapping happens in the security group, not in the maintain assignable roles. The mapping happens in the security group over here. Group criteria, maintain assignable role, and I say manager. So a role-based security group means that I'm having a role-based or a role created first, which is going to be assigned to a supervisory organization, and I'm creating a security group for this role that I have created. And why I'm creating a security group, let me go back to what I said earlier. Security is basically who can do what. So let me just take it this way. First, I've created a manager role. That manager role, I have enabled it for a supervisory organization. Now I've created who. Who is a manager, and I have enabled it at a supervisory organization by creating a security group. What I do is I'm saying manager, which is the who for my question, can do what. What can this particular security group that I have created can do? That is very simple as what it gets. Are we clear actually what security group is? A security group in a nutshell is very simple. What can a person who's assigned to this particular security group can do? And who is going to be determined by the role? The role is going to be assigned to a user in a role-based security. I'm going to be assigning this to a role, and the role will be assigned to a user, and this security group is going to say what this particular person can do. That is precisely what a role-based security group is. So what are the privileges this particular manager security group can do? All right. First up, I will go to this particular option and then I'll come to the ones which are below. See, if you see over here, this particular page, it says access rights to the organization. Because this is a role-based security group, I'm going to be assigning it to a organization level, which could be location, supervisory organization, or cost centers. So I can assign this role to any organization type, be it support, location, or cost center, based on how I have given it over here in the maintain assignable roles. All right, based on where I have enabled this, I can have this over here. And again, here I have four options. One, I can say that this is going to apply, this particular security group and the privileges is going to apply only to my current organization only. Next, I have another option over here which says applies to current organizations and unassigned subordinates. Next, I have an option over here which says applies to current organization and all subordinates. Next, applies to current organization and subordinates to level. Current organization and unassigned subordinates, which means if I have an organization, subordinate organization, then and in that particular unassigned, in that particular subordinate organization, I do not have anyone assigned to it. So I have a manager, or let's take HR partner. HR partner, I may have it for RN1, and the subordinate organization for RN1 could be RN2. If I do not assign anybody specific for the HR partner for my subordinate organization, it will pick it automatically from the superior supervisory organization. If I'm going to be assigning it, it is not going to have it. Clear? Clear on the funda? If I do not assign it, it will pick it from inheritance. Otherwise, it is going to have somebody who's going to be individual for that subordinate organization. So whether you assign it or not, inheritance is going to be applied. And the last one applies to organization and subordinates up to a level. I can restrict it and say that up to certain level I'm going to be applying it. We generally do not use option number 4. For most of them, we pick option number 2. Inheritance happens unless you want to override it, to automatically happen. That is second option that we have over here in terms of access rights to organization. And the third option that we are going to see over here is access rights to multiple job workers. First one, since this is a managerial role I'm going to be creating, I'm saying role has access to the positions that they support. For any position that this particular manager or person is a manager and that they support, they will have the access. All right, so position related tasks by the manager that they support and those people who are responsible. I create a position, and for that position, if I am the manager for that particular position or the support, then it will come across to me. Next, role for the primary job has access to the position, because I could have multiple positions created and I could have multiple people. See, this is more applicable when I have multiple managers assigned to the same supervisory organization. Say, for example, I have Carolee, Joy Banks, and Aryan. All three have been assigned as manager for a specific supervisory organization. I can say for one position, Aryan is going to be the manager. Aryan is going to be the primary manager for that particular position. And I can have Nishant or Getika or Krishnaveni or anybody else assigned as the secondary managers or supplementary managers to that particular position. That is specifically when all of these apply. So I have access to only those positions that they support, or for the primary job has access to all positions, or this particular role has access to all the positions that is part as a supervisory, as a manager for that support. Any position that is created, it will go across to approval for any of the managers who are there, rather than going to the specific manager who's going to be handling that position. That is what this is all related to, because this is more for if I'm going to have multiple people assigned as managers, that is when this will be applicable. Clear on so far whatever we have seen? So first up, we saw about creating a role based security group, and we saw about the assignment role or the assignable role, which is going to be from the maintain assignable role that I've already created as a manager. I'm going to be mapping it over here. Next, we saw about the access rights, about the inheritance concept and how this is going to be coming across. Third, if I have multiple workers assigned as manager, how this is all going to drill down to. That is what is the third option which we have over here. Now, the next thing we are going to be seeing is I'm going to skip domain security policies for the time being. I'm going to be looking first at business process policies, and then I'll come to domain security policies. See, we've seen about a role-based security group, which is called as manager, and we have assigned all of this. Next, we are going to business process security policy permission. All right. Now, for easier purpose, I'm going across to higher business process only. I'm not taking the other business processes for now. I'm taking only the higher business process, and I'm filtering for the higher business process. There we saw it at a higher business process level. Here we are seeing only for the manager security group. For a manager security group in the higher business process, what are the operations that I can perform is going to be available in my business process security policy permissions. Clear? Clear with everybody? Are we clear, or you want me to explain it again? Because this is kind of the same that we saw as a manager or in the higher business process policies, whatever we saw over there. Let me go across to the business process policy for hire. And wherever we saw manager, this is exactly what it is. From there, we are seeing it over here. So first up, I'm saying hire employee. I'm going to initiate it as a manager. Sorry, as a manager, I can initiate this, right? And I go back to my role-based security group and I say initiate hire employee. And the same what is available over here in my business process security policy for I hire, I say initiating access action as hire employee, and I say security groups. One of the security groups is manager. And if I go across to the related actions of the manager, you will say this is a role-based security group. Security group name is manager, assignable role is manager, and this is precisely what you see over here as well. Clear how I'm just getting all of this, or where exactly this comes from? Same for all the other actions as well. All right. And just to give you a trivia, we saw about role based, and next we are going to be seeing about user based. But we do have so many other different types of security groups, but for now I want to only concentrate on role based security groups and role based and user based security groups. I do not want to go into the other ones because that's going to be very challenging, and at the same time it's going to be quite vast for you at this time. So I want to only touch base upon user-based security groups and role-based security groups. I'm not going across to any of the other security groups at this moment. All right. So now I'm going to be picking another one. Let me pick a security admin. And then I will teach you what exactly a user-based security group is. All right. So we saw about role-based security group. So what do you mean by a role-based security is I'm going to be creating a specific role so that I can tag it to one or more of my organization types, which could be like a location, a supervisory organization, or a cost center. This is the way I'm going to be having a security group assigned at a specific role level, because I say that I create a security group. That security group, I am going to be tagging it to a specific role at a super cost center location hierarchy level. And then I'm going to be tagging people. That is what is called as a role-based security group. Now, what I'm going to be seeing next is a user-based security group. And what I mean by a user-based security group is there could be certain roles or certain security groups. Let me not say roles. Let me say only use the word security groups. So I could have certain roles which are going to be organization wide, which means I could have one or more people assigned at an entire organization level. For my entire Amazon or Facebook, I could have only couple of people or just a handful of people who are assigned as security admins in the Workday tenant, who are going to be taking care of all the security related issues. I could have only a handful of people who are like HR admins, payroll admins, and they are the topmost super user level people. And they are going to be the ones who are going to be handling all the administrative level stuff, which is like at a super user level, right? And I am not going to tag them to any organization, but they are entity wide. They are at an entire organization level. So those people, we call them as user-based security group. And in the role-based security group, we saw that I'm going to be creating a role which I'm going to be having it at an organization level. And in that organization, I'm going to say XYZ is going to be this particular role. But for a user-based security group, since this is at an enterprise wide, which means it is at the entire organization level, it is not going to be just at one specific support inheritance. Nothing comes in over here. It is at the entire enterprise wide level. And I'm directly going to assign this to my user. I'm going to assign this directly to a user. So if I come back to this particular chart, role-based user, how I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be creating an underlying role, and that role I'm going to be assigning to company cost center and everything. And in this organization, I am going to be assigning a specific user as a role. Whereas when I say a user-based security group, I will create one user which is at an entire enterprise wide. It's not going to be just at a company cost center location supervisory organization level. For the entire organization, say the entire entity, I'm going to be having only specific users assigned as user-based security group. So this is directly assigned to my user. So if I go over here and find out my user-based security group, I have a security admin, and I am going to be using this only for a handful of people only, which is at an entire enterprise wide. Clear on this? Any questions? And I may not have so many of the options that we saw earlier because there is no inheritance, no position based, multiple, etc. Nothing is going to be there. It's straightforward. I'm going to create a user based security group and directly tagging users directly to this particular security group. And in a real world, even if I'm going to have an organization like say Walmart or Amazon or Facebook who have hundreds of thousands of users or employees across the globe, I will have only a handful, maybe 0.1% based on my organization employee count assigned to this particular admin level groups. Like I said, this is at an entity wide. This is not just at a superorg level, location level, or anywhere. It is at an entity wide. Clear on this? So difference between role based, I will create a role, and then that role is going to be assigned to this particular organization, and then I will have people assigned. User based is directly assigned to a specific user only.